when you do vibraphone, remember now vibraphone is to do Amazing Grace, but really thinking concert wind band. Now, I'm not just going to write. I'm going to stop every time I have an idea in my head myself frequently and try and explain my decisions to you.
Hi, you are watching part 1 of the video today. If you have not seen the previous videos leading up to this one, they are in the link below. Please do have a look. I split it up in different videos in a series just because it will make it a little bit easier for you.
Hi, it's Matt. I'm going to do an arrangement today. I decided to do a concert arrangement of Amazing Grace. I chose Amazing Grace because it's a simple melody, it's in a public domain, no copyright, and everyone knows it. But the purpose now is not to do a little accompaniment to accompany, a school or a church or a singing group or something. I want to make a wind band concert arrangement out of this. Now, first of all, this will be harder than like a symphony orchestra for sure because there's no strings. With wind band, it's also harder because you have difficulties in each instrument. You have limitations. You can't listen to most of the instruments for too long, and then you have brass instruments that get tired if they play too long. So, and when we get through the individual instruments, when I teach you about the individual instruments, you will see this is a lot harder. Now, the main difference between a symphony orchestra and a wind band. In a wind band, you will have more clarinets, you will have saxophones, obviously, which doesn't exist in a standard orchestra. But you have more clarinets where you only might have 2 or 3 in an orchestra because the clarinet is sort of substitute. That's what people think. The clarinet substitute for the strings that you don't have now. The rest is more or less in the same, but it's possible to have 2 or 3 players per stand where an orchestra is usually just one. Okay, I'm just showing you this as a start. If you ask anybody to do Amazing Grace, they will probably do something like this in the beginning. If they're learning how to do it for band, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just that doing all the wrong things I'm trying to teach people not to do. Okay, have a quick listen. Not a single note wrong here, but not what we intend to do here. Okay, so let's get started. Right, what I have here is a wind band score. As you can see, I went for piccolo and 2 flutes, an oboe, cor anglais or English horn. The clarinets, I usually do this for concert wind bands. I use a solo clarinet and then first, second, third clarinet. As we progress, you will see why I do that. It just works better. So I have a bass clarinet. I added a soprano saxophone for the purposes of showing you how to use it. Then I've got 2 alto saxophone parts. I've got 2 tenor saxophone parts. Not really necessary. I could have done just 1, but let's work on 2 for now. If we have to delete it later, we can. Got a baritone sax and bassoon, and that's all your woodwinds. Then the link between the woodwinds and brass is the 4 horns. Now, when I write a computer these days, unlike when I started, over 3 decades back, you worked on paper, score size was a limitation. This is much easier to do 4 horn parts individually. You can always put them together later on when it gets to the printing or when it gets to the scores. But this works, it's easier to write this way, and it's easier to get the computer to play it back accurately because of all the controllers and etc. So I'm going to add 3 trumpet parts, 3 trombone parts, but the 3rd trombone part, I usually take the sound of a bass trombone. And most wind bands will use a bass trombone. There is a big difference between a bass trombone and a 3rd trombone playing or tenor trombone playing a 3rd part. Then euphonium, it's like the cello and the real beautiful voice. mini tuba in the band, use tuba. Now again, I'm writing, we'll get to that, but I'm writing the tuba in concert. You don't try to write for E flat tuba, C tuba, and double C tuba. You just write it straight. In the old days, they used to have string bass. These days, most bands would use an electric bass guitar. It's not a necessity, but it does help here and there to just blend it in properly in a concert wind band. It can help so much. Then I've got timpani and a bunch of percussion. We can see we won't use all the percussion, maybe, I don't know. As I teach in all the videos, part 1, just sketching. What are we going to do? As you can see, I already have this. I prepared myself. I'm going to do this in A flat or start in A flat. Now, with the wind band especially, you wouldn't want to start in A or B or G. You can go G, but remember if your G is one sharp, your alto saxophone are going to be in 3 sharps. Can they play it? Absolutely. These guys are good. But you're asking for problems. It is harder and it is a little bit more challenging in terms of especially intonation, especially with your students when you get to a high school band or even a primary school band. So flat keys better for wind bands. So I'm going to go for A flat, and it may go up. Also, for the purpose of exercise, I decided I'm not going to do this in the 3/4. I'm going to go for the 4/4. It's easy to sing Amazing Grace in a 4/4. You can do the same with Silent Night and many other pieces. I mean, when you think about it, you can do this you can do it in a reggae, you can do it in a bossa nova, you can do some hip hop thing. The options are unlimited. You can do Bach, you can do Beethoven, you can do John Williams. Well, if you can do John Williams, well done. But you get my point. There's a million ways this can go. So I want to do Amazing Grace in a way, not a long piece. Of course, it's going to take too long, but to show you how to do it. So do Amazing Grace, but really thinking concert wind band. Now, I'm not just going to write. I'm going to stop every time I have an idea in my head or I think, okay, I'm going to do this. Sometimes it's just a split-second decision in my head. I want to stop myself frequently and try and explain my decisions to you, so you can get into my head and you can see the thinking behind it. That's the best way to learn. Maybe there's some golden pebbles on the way. I hope so. Let's get started. All right, so for my Amazing Grace, I don't want it too fast tempo. In fact, I love the idea of Mysterioso, but let's just call it Adagio. And 66 beats a minute. It's pretty good. It's just above good largo. Right, now for the sketching side, let's just have, as you can see, I'm at transpose pitch now. So we're in A flat concert. So I'm doing this computer, as with 99% of all people. I do urge you, when you started to learn just how to add, 2 + 2, 4 × 4 in the beginning, you use pencil and paper. There's no teacher in the world that gave you a calculator in the beginning. It's very similar with music. I urge you, try. Do arrangements. You can use a piano or something to hear what you're trying to do, but try to work on paper first. At least your sketching. And then input that sketching in here to come and hear what you do, because it will develop you, because it's too easy with computers these days. You don't need to worry about transposition, and the problem is if you don't worry about transposition. I mean, if I can do this in concert pitch, which I sometimes do, I know my transpositions, and you can teach me. I know my transpositions really well, so I know where it has to be written and where it will sound. If you don't know that, if you're not accustomed to that, it's very easy to write in the wrong place. I'm doing some sketching now, so this is where we start. All I want for now is just long notes, because that's where you can reach. But I just want a long sustained note here. Give it 8 bars for the sake of it. This won't be something very loud. And on top of this, a little bit of sketching. Let's just see. Go to third. This might move to the right or the left later. We know, because there's going to be some flutes and stuff above this. Okay, so in A flat, that's there. So let's get... Okay, and then when we come again, won't be too large. In fact, might be piano, but we'll see. Okay, so this will sketching up. I'm hearing we're gonna do a bit of something like that, because we wanted to build up. Then I'm gonna bring in just a little bit more in here. Now the tubas can come in. So now a nice fat low, but the real entry. So let's call it a forte. don't like how Dorico. So Dorico did this. Now I'm going to force it differently because it's not how I would write. Remember now I teach you want to write this the easiest way to read. Now there's nothing wrong with what Dorico did, except it's harder to read, especially for students. But I've learned this funny trick. You can force what you want there. So I'm going to force, because that's the right way to do it. Thank you. Forced on this that I want. Okay, this will also be strong, but it doesn't matter. I already defaulted it there at the bottom. And these will be chords. So, okay, I'm going to show you sketching. So it's fair. Let me show you. So in sketching, just so I remember what I wanted to do later, I'm going to. Okay, fine. If I do that, I understand what I wanted to do. Good enough. So thinking here, and that's some kind of an intro. I'm just doing sketching here. Just want to figure out what I want to do. Like I said, very important. Don't try and arrange with that coffee. Needs to be open. Play. Don't get to play. So if that. Let's bring in that vibraphone. Why do I still have this here inside? Bring in a vibraphone. So I want a lot of sustain at the bottom. I want a lot of sustain, and then on top of that, just some movement. Something like that. So now, when you do something like xylophone and vibraphone, unless you have a guy that's got his masters in percussion, the simple test is, can you play it with 2 fingers? Because you don't want to move around. This is not a piano. A vibraphone is not a piano. You've got 2 sticks, maybe 3 or 4, but two per hand. But you can't just play anyway. So what I'm doing here, you can see my left hand is standing still, the right hand just moving. Because if your left hand is standing still, all I have to look at is my right hand. Okay, and that's a repeating pattern for now. So very important. We have to tell it when you do vibraphone. Remember now, vibraphone is vibrating. So there's motors which can go slow and fast and off. If you just write vibraphone but you don't tell them anything, that percussion is just going to think this is orchestrated. Doesn't know what it's doing. So we have to tell it what we want to do. So I'm going to find out how Dorico wants me to add that, and then we'll go on. Oh, good. So in pitch percussion, there's something called motor off, motor on. Fabulous. Exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Motor off it is. I guess that means Dorico will also know what it means. It's interesting. There's a pedal. That's true. With a vibraphone, there's also a pedal. It does exactly the same thing that a sustain pedal would do on a piano. To get that in chimes or tubular bells, get it in vibraphone. You don't get it in a xylophone because the decay of the notes are too short. It is there in a vibraphone. I don't want it, so I'm not going to tell it to pedal. Okay, I just want to hear the volume of this quickly together. I'm going to go a little bit softer than that. If you find it disappears later, we'll work around that. I'm also not too happy with the tempo. It's just a tiny bit too slow for me. The introduction has its own tempo. I think we might have to change a little faster here. Okay, so we were at Adagio 66. Let's call it Adagio done there. Okay, great. Thank you. Just want to be a little bit faster. Okay, so there will be a long sustain. What I'm doing here, I forgot to tell you, I'm frequently very, very specific. Why do you do these double bars and full bars, everything, every time a section starts? It's important because later, when somebody has 79 bars rest, these sections will break it up and it's much easier to follow. It's much easier to say 8 bars rest, 8 bars rest, 8 bars rest, whatever it is, than to say 79 bars rest, because they can sort of follow, okay, now that section is over, you can hear it. It's easier for musicians as well as when you put in your rehearsal marks in the end, which is important. It's just part of finishing. So it's easier for you to see. It's easier for the people to read, the conductor and every player. So, right, for sketching wise, I think we definitely, because we're nice and soft here, going to start with the flute. Common misperception. I'm not starting with flute because flute is a soft instrument. I'm starting with flute because of the tone color of the flute. In fact, I'm not going to play it very high right now. I'm going to play it nice and low. Soft, a few instruments below. You can easily start a horn, you can start a trumpet, you can start a trombone. There's literally saxophone. There's not one instrument in a band you could not have started with. I just wanted the flute for the color. Stop myself here. I did not write a dotted half note here. I want to help the guy to breathe, but I want to show the student finish up to the third beat. Because if you work with school bands, some of the guys might, but they cut off the last note. You don't want him to do that. So by writing it this way, I'm forcing him to play up to the beginning of the third beat. Okay, so the whole first verse became a solo for flute. Fine with that for this purpose. It did build up a little, so we'll see later if we're going to add anything there. Time will tell. In my mind, this just might end up to be 3 verses, which means I'm in for a long haul here. Don't worry, I will speed you up. Very late sounds like saxophone should take over here. Okay. Change my pitch to transpose pitch, because if you work in concert pitch of this, it's dangerous. You don't know when you're going out of range. So immediately I must think in a different key. I don't want to jazzify this too much. Remember, I changed this to a 4/4, so I don't want to go triplets. You could do that. Well, help the 4/4 feel without turning it into jazz music. Huh? I don't know why it does that. It's just one of the mysteries of Dorico. It would be wrong to beat up to this high point in the melody and then say, okay, thanks, saxophone, you can sit down, let's give it to someone else. I'm not going to do it here. Looks like this is going to be one of those pieces where it's longer phrases. Okay, why did I do that previous bar like this? It's a little bit of playing around with the melody, but remember that same kind of figure happened with the sketching in the intro, so you have to build on that. You have to use it again. Okay, Dorico, I didn't want to write that's the way it should be written, so just want to force it here. Okay, let's do one more verse. It's a concert piece. It's not going to have the versatility, the short part. We'll speed up a lot of this, don't worry. I was in A flat so far, so key change. It's time. When I say D flat, look at what it does. Just look at the keys. Transposes it a lot. It takes these guys to G flat, which theoretically is correct. I prefer G flat above F sharp any time of the day, especially in a wind instrument. If this was strings, I might have done F sharp for them, because it's easier for them to understand that. 6 flat, 6 sharps, 5 flat, 5 sharps, whatever it is. Okay, so this is going to be strong brass. Let's just see if it's in the range of the horns. It's high-ish, but I have to do it in unison for a bunch of horns. But am I going horns? Let's go low brass without add all these high instruments and stuff. We had a soprano instrument, we had more of an alto instrument. Let's go for a tenor instrument for now. Oh, this is high. Right, strong trombone is going to be beautiful, yeah. So this is very much in range for a tenor trombone player. This is about the time where the trumpeter is getting red in the face because he's using a lot of air for his face. But not impossible. Okay, I'll see what takes over the melody here. Okay, at this point, just for the sake of the exercise, let's just show you how beautiful a horn can be. And now I want more flow here, so going against what I did all the way up here. A nice score to ending here. Okay, let's do a last line with beat. Enough bar 61. Perfect range for the oboe and solo oboe. Somewhere here, I hope we are at the end of this piece. It's very, very, very simple, but that is the sketching up to here, up to so far. And just for the sake of explaining, you might have seen I've got these earphones on. The stands you can see from the side. When I do arranging, I prefer a set of good earphones above. I mean, if you have a studio, fantastic monitors, beautiful. I prefer my Sennheisers. It's not so important when I do this, but there's two good reasons. One, you don't make noise for the rest of the house. Second, I can hear so much more detail individually with a good set of earphones, and I love the Sennheisers for it. I start from the top. We have some idea of sketching here. Sketching is done. Now I need to fill in the meat in this. Okay, I can see that was too loud. Change that. With horns, it's so important. A lot of the instruments in the band is like this, but with horns, it's so important. There's a huge difference in tone color between the different dynamic levels. It's not about volume. So it's about the different in tone color. Now I'm looking for the really mellow part, the woodwind part of a fringe horn here. So I don't want to go loud. I want really smooth. Okay. So start again. Can you hear the difference? Okay, that will build up. The bass clarity is good. I can't drop it another octave, so I need something else that will help. I'm thinking, I don't want to bring in a tuba just yet. Yeah, phoneme will do well there. Phoneme is also a mellow instrument, and if you think about it, it's a mini tuba. It's well within its range. I don't want bass trombone. It's too brassy for me. If I need to, I can add the other tenor trombones, but try not to. Bass clarinet, baritone saxophone, without any doubts, this low, dangerous. At that volume, you want soft. Bassoon can definitely do it. So let's see if this is better now. I added bassoon and added the phoneme. Can you hear that? The euphonium and the bassoon blend so well, it's very difficult to differentiate between the sounds. Okay, now we need to write staggered breathing here. Now again, you only have one bass clarinet, there is no staggered breathing, but because I have more instruments, I can do it. So you can just find out how to put in text like that. And by adding staggered breathing, it tells the player just stagger it and just breathe when you have to, but not on a specific place. And if everyone does this and come in softly, hopefully no one will notice. But this is an important thing to tell you. But I just want to hear, it's my ear telling me here. And your timpani. So my timpani, can you see my timpani does not have the four flats in front? You can do that, nothing wrong with that, especially now in modern times. I prefer to write the timpani if I can without any key signatures and write your sharps and flats as accidentals. Reasoning, especially with students, reasoning. If you look at a timpani, you've got the little arrow going there. It's going to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the different notes. You will not have sharps and flats in there. So if you want an A flat, like I want in this case, basically there's going to be an A, there's going to be a B, and a A, and there's going to be a G, and halfway in there, we're going to guess where it is. So there's no A flat note shown visibly on a timpani, which is pre-tuned before a concert. But then it's easy to come here and you just read and you see A and you just go for A and you don't worry about the rest. By doing it this way, you're forcing the accidental and it reminds the timpani player, hang on, it's lower than an A, I must check. This is soft. There's nothing wrong with telling the timpanist use soft mallets or something like that. In fact, this is what I would like to do actually, because I can hear these mallets are harder felt mallets. Remember, percussion instrument, it's not the instrument, it's the mallets you use to play the instrument. That's where the professional percussionists got a bag full of percussion. We'll get to that when you teach about percussion. But it's, so I'm going to tell this guy felt mallets. Okay, let's call it soft mallets. We must decide what soft mallets he has. I think we can tell Dorico I want a soft mallet sound here, but I'm not going to because I don't know how to fix it later. Otherwise I'm going to have two stoves. Because NotePerformer does have a sound for soft mallets, but for the purpose of the exercise, why do I tie over? I'm just thinking about this. I must explain, why do I tie over? You don't need to tie over notes like this for snare drum and for many other instruments like a marimba, xylophone. You have to show it for exactly how long you want the decay of the timpani before it gets dampened. Because if you hit the timpani, dong, it's going to ring for a long time. It's like a gong. So in this case, I don't want dong dong and go muted. So I want it to ring. It's going to die. It's going to go down, but I don't want it to get muted. So I'm going to do this. But let's just go from the top because my ears must tell me something must still get in here. It's a flute or a coranglay or a clarinet. The clarinet. It's a nice, deep, woody, low clarinet could do wonders here. So just listen where exactly I want it in. Here's something different. Interesting. Okay, so let's try this. All that slit. So, okay, I can see all of this is going to move to the right a little. Let's insert 6 bars to see if it works. Okay, it works. Creating space to work, we'll tie all of this together now. I think Dorico gave us a nice way to make this longer. Staggered breathing really comes in now. You can also decide where to, you can stagger it for them, but let's see if it teaches 31st. What that sound like? Festive overture. So random things happening here. Boom, boom. I love it that the sample is slightly out of tune. It makes it sound real. And arguably, this is a good chance the player will play it a little bit out of tune. Don't like the way it's grouped here. I think the horns can come in from here actually, so okay, we too many bars. Okay, so now we're going to delete a few bars. Okay, figured out how to delete bars when I don't want them. Okay, I just want a little bit of a hold on that oboe before the horns come in. So I want to add a 2/4 bar in here. Okay, that's more like it. So let's just see. Put the same will happen here. Okay, and I want to change the note. You see this note, this E flat concert coming in very softly. Blend 2 colors, get a new color. So what I want to do on the second beat, just a soft vibraphone. Now I need to calculate motor off. It's going to be too short. I don't want it to be dampened. Oh, sorry. It's not on the second beat, it's just after the second beat. So move it just a little bit to the left, which means make it just a little bit longer. Okay, now it hits that F again. So our second beat E flat, fourth beat is the D flat. Just want to show you how to blend colors. Oh, that's way too low. Melody is always important, but when you work with a glockenspiel, you're just going to tell it play. If you don't tell a glockenspiel play anything, he will know to take the small brass mallet. It's usually it's brassy, coppery, it's a metal mallet, and it literally just starts ding, ding, ding. Unless you specify otherwise. But if you tell a glockenspiel soft mallets, the player is going to go, what? Why bother? It's made to be played like this. But it rings extremely loud, so I'm sure we're going to get away with like pianissimo. Again, now you see this is just helping the clarinet and the oboe. Do they need this? No, but it gives you a new tone because you're blending colors. I like what it's doing. I want to add more, and I want to do it a little bit louder. This is slow enough to play with 2 fingers, which means you can do this.
Okay, what is to come in the next video?
Remember now, every note a glockenspiel plays rings for what feels like 10 minutes. I'm showing you how to write a note. Let's talk tuba quickly. That's why we do sketching it way up.